A few years ago, getting a $5,000 monthly salary sounded life-changing to Jason. Back then, he was making barely enough to survive. Every payday felt like relief. He imagined the future version of himself making real money. He thought, when I finally earn more, I'll stop stressing. Then it happened. Promotion, bigger paycheck, better apartment, nicer clothes, weekend trips, food delivery instead of cooking, a newer car because I deserve it now. And strangely, 3 months later, he felt almost exactly the same, still checking his bank account before buying things, still waiting for payday, still thinking, I just need a little more money. And that's the strange thing about salary. No matter how much people make, it somehow never feels like enough. A person making $2,000 thinks $5,000 would solve everything. A person making $5,000 thinks $10,000 would finally bring peace. And someone making $10,000 starts dreaming about six figures. So what's going on here? Why does income grow, but financial satisfaction barely changes? And why do some people making average salaries feel calm and wealthy, while others earning huge incomes constantly feel financially trapped? The answer has very little to do with math and almost everything to do with psychology. Most people grow up believing one simple idea: more money equals fewer problems. And technically, that's true at first. More income can absolutely improve your life. It can reduce stress, pay bills, create safety, give options, but there's a hidden problem nobody talks about. As income rises, expectations rise even faster. This is where most people get trapped, because humans are incredibly adaptable. The expensive thing that once felt luxurious quickly starts feeling normal. That phone you obsessed over for weeks. 3 months later, it's just your phone. That salary increase you celebrated. Soon it becomes your baseline. Psychologists call this hedonic adaptation. But you don't need the fancy term to understand it. It's basically this: humans get used to improvements very quickly, which means your brain constantly resets what feels normal. And once something becomes normal, it stops creating happiness. That's why people who finally reach their dream salary often feel confused. They expected permanent relief. Instead, they got temporary excitement. Then life returned to normal again. Except now, their lifestyle costs more. Imagine someone earning $3,000 a month. At first, they live carefully: cheap rent, used furniture, cooking at home, older phone, no expensive subscriptions. Then they get a raise to $5,000. Suddenly, small upgrades feel justified: a better apartment, daily coffee runs, new wardrobe, more dining out, monthly subscriptions they barely use. Nothing seems crazy individually, but together, something dangerous happens. Their lifestyle quietly expands to match their income. This is called lifestyle inflation. And it's one of the biggest reasons salaries never feel enough. Because most people don't increase freedom when income rises, they increase obligations. A higher salary often creates higher rent, higher car payments, higher expectations, higher social pressure, higher monthly expenses. So even though income increased, financial pressure stayed almost identical. It's like running on a treadmill that keeps speeding up. You're moving faster, but never actually getting ahead. And modern life makes this even worse. Because today, people don't compare themselves to neighbors anymore. They compare themselves to the internet. Every scroll on social media quietly changes what normal looks like. A normal vacation suddenly feels boring. A normal apartment feels small. A normal salary feels embarrassing. You start feeling behind, even when you're doing fine. This creates something psychologists call relative wealth. Humans rarely judge money objectively. We judge it comparatively. A person earning $60,000 surrounded by people making $40,000 may feel successful, but that exact same person surrounded by millionaires may suddenly feel poor, even though their actual life didn't change at all. That's how powerful comparison is. Your brain doesn't measure wealth using numbers. It measures status, and status is endless. There will always be someone richer, someone younger making more, someone driving something nicer, someone traveling somewhere better, which means if your happiness depends on comparison, you can literally never win. But there's another reason salary never feels enough, and this one is even deeper. Most people use money to buy emotional relief, not just survival. Think about it. People don't only spend money because they need things, they spend because they want to feel successful, comfortable, important, rewarded, accepted, less stressed. After a difficult week, people say, "I deserve this." And sometimes that's completely fine. But over time, emotional spending becomes automatic. Stress creates spending. Boredom creates spending. Sadness creates spending. Comparison creates spending. The paycheck becomes emotional fuel. And the more emotional pressure someone carries, the faster money disappears. That's why two people with the same salary can live completely different financial lives. One person feels constantly broke. The other quietly builds wealth. The difference usually isn't intelligence, it's behavior. Because wealth is rarely destroyed by one giant decision. It's usually destroyed by hundreds of small, unconscious ones. Tiny upgrades, tiny comforts, tiny purchases, tiny habits. Things that seem harmless in the moment, but together, they quietly consume entire salaries. Here's something most people never realize. A high salary can actually create the illusion of wealth while preventing real wealth, because income and wealth are not the same thing. A doctor earning $300,000 but spending $290,000 a year is financially fragile. Meanwhile, someone earning $70,000 while investing consistently may quietly become financially independent. This is why some high earners still feel trapped. Their salary looks impressive, but their lifestyle requires every dollar, so they can't slow down, can't quit, can't breathe. Their income became a cage. And this is the dangerous part of lifestyle inflation. Every new expense steals future freedom. A bigger car payment means more months needing that job. A more expensive lifestyle means more pressure to keep earning. Eventually, people stop owning their lifestyle starts owning them. The people who eventually feel financially calm usually understand one powerful idea. The goal of money is not to impress people, it's to create control over your life. That changes everything. Because once money becomes about freedom instead of status, your decisions start changing. You stop asking, "What can I buy?" and start asking, "What pressure can I remove?" That mindset shift is huge, because financial peace rarely comes from increasing income forever. It comes from increasing the gap between what you earn and what you need. That gap is where freedom lives. A person earning $4,000 and needing $2,500 monthly is often financially healthier than someone earning $12,000 but spending $11,500. Why? Because freedom depends on margin, not appearance. And this is why many wealthy-looking people are secretly stressed. Their financial life is built entirely on continuous income. The moment income stops, everything collapses. True wealth is different. True wealth is having enough breathing room that money stops controlling every decision. It's being able to say no, being able to rest, being able to handle emergencies calmly, being able to invest for the future instead of surviving the present. And strangely, that feeling often has less to do with salary size and more to do with financial behavior. There's a moment many financially successful people eventually experience. They realize, no amount of income will ever feel enough if my expectations keep growing with it. That realization changes how they live. Instead of constantly upgrading everything, they become intentional. They stop buying things to signal success. They stop trying to look rich, and they focus on something much more powerful, keeping their future options open, because every unnecessary financial obligation limits future choices. A massive car payment may look impressive, but it quietly steals flexibility. Expensive lifestyles often create invisible stress. Even high earners start feeling trapped because their survival now depends on maintaining a certain income level forever. That's exhausting psychologically. Meanwhile, someone with lower expenses often experiences something priceless: peace. Not because they have unlimited money, but because they need less to feel okay. And that's the part modern culture rarely teaches. Contentment has financial value. People think discipline feels restrictive, but often, the opposite is true. Discipline creates freedom. Undisciplined spending creates dependency. So what should people actually do? First, understand this clearly. There is nothing wrong with wanting more money. Higher income absolutely helps, but income alone does not solve financial anxiety. Because if spending rises automatically with earnings, nothing really changes. So instead of focusing only on earning more, focus on these three things. First, protect the gap between income and expenses. That gap is more important than appearances. It's the engine behind investing, savings, and future freedom. Second, But be careful about permanent lifestyle upgrades. Temporary enjoyment is fine. Permanent monthly obligations are different. Every recurring expense quietly reduces future flexibility. Third, stop using other people's lives as your financial measuring stick. Social media shows lifestyles, not stress levels, not debt, not anxiety, not reality. Many people who look wealthy are financially fragile, and many people building real wealth look surprisingly ordinary. Because real wealth is usually quiet at the end of the day. Your salary will probably never feel like enough if your definition of enough keeps moving. That's the real trap. Most people spend their entire lives chasing a number, without realizing the target constantly changes. But the people who eventually feel financially free understand something different. They stop trying to win the endless comparison game, and they start building a life where money creates calm instead of pressure. Because the goal was never just a bigger paycheck. The real goal was peace. And sometimes, the difference between feeling rich and feeling broke has less to do with how much you earn, and more to do with how much control your money gives you over your life.